Medici, Psi.Vision, 1111, Astrology update. For the full moon in Capricorn, we have tomorrow night, June 24th, 2021 at 11:39 a.m. I wanted to make a video for this full moon because I feel that it's significant. And I've been really working with Capricornian energy the last, I'd say, couple months, and diving deep into the archetype of Capricorn. And I felt that it was really apropos when I saw that it was a full moon in Capricorn, and I wanted to make a video about it just to share my thoughts, my reflections, give you an astrology update of what the heck is going on, because I'm sure you guys are all going through some craziness, as I have been, because this full moon has got some crazy aspects. And I wanted to just share what I've been going through to help you all out, to relate, to guide, to assist, anything and everything that I can do to help you in this new world that we are in. We are in a new world, you guys. And like I say every single time, it's up to us how we want to see the world. It's up to us how we want this new world to be. Do we want to go back to business as usual? Do we want to go back to the systems at large that were oppressing the majority of us, all of us really, even if you were in seeming positions of power? The way that it was all working didn't really work for anybody, right? It was the diminishment of the feminine, the diminishment of the intuitive faculties, that kind of were the things that were killing our planet. Since 2020 has happened, we've reoriented, reconfigured, transformed, shifted, elevated our frequencies, because so much of the old was destroyed and so much of the new was able to emerge. And now we're in this new era that is a higher vibrational, higher frequency, new frequency, energy-based quantum era. And what that means is that a lot of us are going through massive changes. We're going through, at least for me, the way that I've been working with this energy, a lot of ego death. A lot of ego death. A lot of the person that I thought that I was no longer existing. A lot of the identities, the things that I held dear to myself. And, you know, I want to talk about that in relationship to Capricorn. On this, full moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is the highest sign of the zodiac. It rules the 10th house. It rules the highest level of achievement, the highest level of mastery. It is a cardinal earth sign. It rules ambition, career, public standing. It's ruled by Saturn. It's all about systems and control and doing things systemically, having things, understanding step by step. It's the craftsman. It's the master. It's also the archetype of Pan, the devil. Yes, the mountain goat, Capricorn, is the archetype of Pan, right? Pan is the archetype pre-religion, Jesus Christo. We had the archetype of Pan, the mountain goat, who played his little flute and enjoyed life, danced around, had a lot of sex, ate a lot of good food. And over time, through Christianity, through this intensity and shifting of good and bad, right? And this energy that shifted us into a Christian energy, that shifted one into believing in the light, wanting to be good, this good versus bad, this duality, this paradoxical energy, right? Of always this energy competing, right? This dualistic good and bad energy. Where essentially, in order to be good, we are of the light, right? This has been what has subconsciously been programmed into almost every single person on the planet at this point. It's not even necessarily a Christian idea. I'm just talking about it because I live in the West. But it's this idea, this human idea that we want to be good. There's evil forces and there's good forces, right? And we're constantly working to not succumb to the evil. What I believe is happening at this point in time during this massive culmination, and what is happening at this point, at this full moon point, on this culmination and transition point that we're at right now for Capricorn, is really this integration of the earth energy of the devil. Ah, does that sound scary to you? It can be. It can be scary. It's scary for a lot of us that have been trained to believe that devil is bad. What has happened for me, especially during the last, couple months, really, is, as somebody who was never ever, I went to church, I think, once my entire life. I've never read one page of the Bible. Yet there is still some part of me, inside of me, that carries this energy of wanting to be good, and that believing somewhere inside of me that I am bad. So, and it's this, I think it's rooted deep in a feminine energy, because of the yin, darkness, intuitive energy of this planet was diminished and taught to be bad. The feminine was extricated, right? And so for me, these are the subconscious, the deep subconscious energies that I have recently become aware of, that have created an insane amount of ego death inside of me. And I want to share them with you all so that maybe this can help you in your journey. But for me, it culminated in a lifetime of trying, even though I'm rebellious and I do never applied myself to the rules that most others do, it's still an internalized wanting to be good. And however we talk to ourselves, right? Wanting to be a certain size, wanting to do things a certain way, wanting to be good, right? And, I have some notes here. There's this energy of transcending the illusion of perfection, right? This energy of perfectionism that is really what creates the critical, judgmental, and competitive energy that has been on this planet, that is what continues to keep us in this shadow boxing and this war that humanity is inside of, is this constant desire to try to constantly live in the light, which is denying these other parts of the self. Which is what's interesting about that, is when you are constantly living in the light, you are actually denying, and you're creating a war. We're creating a war within the self, because there's always going to be some part of you that's bad when you are ascending to be good. And therefore, that badness will always be projected onto everything and everyone else, which will create a deep embedded criticism, which is what has been dissolving inside of me. This deep internal criticism that I personally have carried within me most of my life, which I did not realize was linked to this desire to want to be good. What I'm talking about here is embracing the imperfect, embracing the dark, and really allowing ourselves to start to open up to more pleasure in our life. Pan, the archetype of Pan, the devil, right, is this earth energy, right? It's the earth. The earth is dark. It's moist. In most, where there's a lot of life, where the soil is. It's a dark, moist place, right? Like the womb of the woman, right? And we have been taught that we need to, extricate ourselves from that energy and live outside of our bodies. We've disembodied ourselves, trying to get to some ideal, perfect ideal. It's time to come back to earth and time to re-engage with more pleasure. This is like, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get that too. But it's one thing to actually say this, and it's another thing to seriously do it. Because when you start to allow yourself to have more pleasure after a lifetime of believing that you needed to perform within a certain box or a certain way in order to be good, it creates a massive amount of ego death. You feel out of control. You feel like you don't know, you don't have a hold on reality. You feel like you're bad. This is really interesting. when you start to dig into this energy. You like, what if the devil archetype, the Capricornian archetype, was not actually bad? What if the devil was good? The devil, right, was this Lucifer, right, who was the light bringer, right, originally in the Bible. I don't really know that much about it. This is just basics that I know. But Lucifer was the light bringer, right? Lucifer is the light bringer, and it's illuminating, right? The energy of Lucifer is illuminating our dark places, the places we project, the things that we don't allow in order to be good. Our culture has worshipped, up until this point in time, has worshipped pain, has worshipped sacrifice, has worshipped killing ourselves in order to attain things. That's what capitalism and the puritanical work ethic is all about. It's about diminishing our own pleasure in order to have and be this perfect being, right? And it creates this intense level of criticism and this intense level of judgment within the self when you are not meeting the mark. And that gets sprayed onto anything and everything outside of yourself when you are not able to meet that mark, which nobody ever is, right? And what I've realized is that in order for that criticism within myself, the criticism I put on myself, because I think this is the truth. This is a lot, most of us, especially in America, we walk around with so much self-critical energy that keeps us in these shame boxes, that keeps us in this dark space, right? And it's only when we can start to open up to those parts of ourselves that are imperfect, that are never going to hit the mark, really, and start leaning into them, allowing them, playing with them, releasing them. When we start living, the devil is lived, spelled backwards. It's actually the energy of the feminine. It is pleasure. It is embodying worth. It is allowing yourself to enjoy earth. Allowing yourself to enjoy earth is the height of the Capricornian power. And that's really what Pan does. Pan, the archetype, pre-devil, the mountain goat. That's really what Pan does, is enjoy the pleasures of life. And somewhere along the way, we were taught that pleasure equals pain. We were taught that pleasure is bad. We were taught that pleasure is bad. Take that in. Because when your MO is to kill yourself to attain a certain things, and you allow a little bit of pleasure in, is that really balanced against how much you're beating yourself up to attain a certain goal or do a certain thing? This is what I've been reconciling with in my life. And this is the ego death process that I've been going through, is releasing so much of this, because I have realized that when I don't allow pleasure, true pleasure in, I don't have a deep sense of self-worth. And I'm constantly on this hamster wheel. And it's really interesting. I am not somebody that watches the Kardashians, but I have for some reason been interested because they're ending that entire era. I always thought it was like madness that I didn't never know who the Kardashians were or why they were famous. But their whole thing is ending now, right? And I all of a sudden got this cable channel, and I was like, well, I was flipping through the channels. I was like, oh, it's the final episode. I wonder what this is about, right? And I just was observing the energy that it perfectly exemplifies the energy here. It's this energy of these women desiring to attain this perfection, not really allowing themselves. They have a lot of stuff, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of power, but they don't actually feel worthy ever. There's never really a deep sense of worth. It's perpetuating this insecurity that is hollow, that is constantly needs attention, constantly needs more. There's not this real intake of pleasure. It's this constant grind. And that's what we've been taught. That's what we've been taught in America, especially, is what brings us success, is what makes us good. And that's what everything I was looking at when I was looking at those women was like this energy of doing everything one can possibly do to seemingly and externally seem good and perfect, when there's this deep like a level on the inside, this internalized darkness that never fully is able to feel its true worth, to really receive pleasure in the deepest sense. And so, yeah, this is what I've been truly waking up to, and allowing myself to feel more entitled to pleasure and giving myself time and space to go through the ego death that comes with ingesting pleasure. This is not a simple, easy thing. This is a reality that is very difficult for a lot of us, especially when your entire life you only feel really good when you're slaving away at something. That has been a huge wake-up call for me, especially in the last year. I have been really opening myself up to how much my conditioning has conditioned me to feel good only when I'm in pain. This is what we've been conditioned into in our culture. This is what we've been conditioned into. This hair, I don't know what's going on. Okay. This is what we've been conditioned into our culture. And around the world, this has been the dominator versus partnership culture that Riane Eisler talks about, an author that I love. But it's this imbalance of worshiping pain over pleasure. And what I see is happening with this culmination in this full moon, we have so many crazy aspects going on astrologically right now that is definitely it's a crisis point, it's a transition point, and it's a culmination point that we're in. Because at this full moon, we have so many crazy oppositions and squares. There's 3 oppositions on this full moon. There's the sun opposing the moon, there's Pluto opposing Venus, and then there's Saturn opposing Mars, okay? Pluto opposing Venus, okay? Pluto, right now we have the moon in Capricorn and we have Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto opposing Venus is like this Venus is pleasure. It's the goddess of refinement and beauty and pleasure and love and right? It's the divine feminine. Opposing Pluto is this combustion, this radical transformation, right? There's this balance. And it's in the sign of Capricorn. Something is starting to happen here where there's a shift. Finally, the energies are starting to literally shift, where we have been so imbalanced and they're starting to become more balanced, right? The other opposition we have here is Saturn in Aquarius opposing Mars, right? So not only that, but we have, like I've talked about, this Aquarian energy that came in the end of December 2020, and it's destabilizing, and we're working to stabilize these new frequencies. So we have Saturn opposing Mars, which is this really intense energy of, Mars wanting to express itself in Leo, right? It's opposing itself. It's opposing Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn in Aquarius is trying to get a hold of these new energies and these new frequencies, these new really innovative, genius, evolutionary, cosmic frequencies that are starting to move and groove, right? That energy is it's trying to become stabilized with Saturn. Saturn's trying to stabilize it because it's all over the place, right? That opposition with Mars, there's a fight going on with this expression of the self and the stabilizing of this energy, and how and where and what are we going to do to stabilize this energy. So those are the 3 oppositions. Oppositions are really when we have this intense opposing energy, this duality that really needs to be a third energy of balance, integrating both, paradoxically integrating both, right? So simultaneously, there needs to be an expression of ourselves, or expression of our creative fire, while simultaneously we stabilize in whatever way we can through boundary work and through grounding whatever frequencies and energies are starting to come through us, right? Because if we don't, it's so chaotic that we just feel completely out of control, right? The other thing that's going on is we have this Mars squaring Uranus, and we have Uranus squaring Saturn, and it's creating a T square, and that's creating, and that's the Mars opposing Saturn. It's creating this massive T square, all culminating at the point of Uranus. It's a lot of Uranian energy happening right now. This like really intense frequency. The Uranus is what rules Aquarius. It's this like heightened electric, intuitive. It's that new frequency energy, right? It's coming through. It's busting through, right? But it's coming through this powerful, culminating Capricornian absorption of pleasure. It sounds weird, and it's like, how is that true? But really, we can't move into this new frequency fully. We can't begin to embody true worth as empaths and sensitives and creatives unless we begin to receive the earth, which means being able to receive the now, which means really ingesting pleasure, which means not always living in this state of control on the inside, always living in the past, always living in the future, always needing to know, always needing to have control, right? We let that go when we start to live in the present. That's true creativity. That's when the flow can work through us. That's when the divine actually begins to work through us and we start to flower and evolve. But we cannot do that unless we truly allow ourselves to have pleasure, which means letting go of control and surrendering to the now, and surrendering to the goodness and the wholeness and the beauty and the abundance of this planet now. Things that taste good, enjoying sex, giving ourselves time and energy to really enjoy the earthly, magnificent goodness. Lived. Was your life a life that was lived, or was it a life that was spent in fear, constantly worrying about the past and the future? Now is all we have. If you are living a life that is not in alignment with your true self, begin to reconcile with that. Begin to look at yourself honestly. This is the time. We are in a radical time of change, you guys. And the more and more and more we can truly open up to receive the present, the goodness of the now, is what will transform the world, will transform ourselves, and there's crisis that will ensue the more we fight it. There will be crisis that ensues the more we fight it. The more that we can surrender to it, start to allow what is actually happening to actually come through us, and actually find the joy in it. Begin to find the joy in it. This is it. This is what Pan, the archetype of the devil, is all about. It's about lightening the furk up. Lightening up, laughing at ourselves, enjoying the now. Stop this control, this intensity, this taking everything so seriously. Take a deep breath, eat some ice cream, go watch a sunset, and live. Live. Stop trying to we gotta all stop this perfectionism that keeps us in this state of control that is exhausting, depleting, judgmental, and critical, which is what is perpetuating all of the war on this planet. Reconciling our own darkness, our own inner devil, allowing ourselves our own inner Pan, allowing ourselves to enjoy earthly pleasures, realizing that Lucifer, the light bringer, is bringing light to the parts of ourselves we have not allowed. The earth, y'all. Some ice cream, a piece of chocolate cake. All right? I'm serious. Chocolate. I hope that this helped. This is what's been going on for me. I sincerely hope that some of you will watch this and find some respite in it. I have a podcast that I've started called Psi with my partner Alex Coleman. We actually talk about this very thing because this is really what I've been going through on a massive scale. I imagine you all are going through something like it, because usually whatever I'm going through, others are going through as well. You can find that on any podcast platform, Spotify, Apple. Please like my channel, blah, blah. Share it with your friends. Want to get the word out, you guys. Want to start proliferating, helping as many people as possible, getting this revolution of the soul going, these up-leveled frequencies, all of us joining together, share, proliferate, open, expand, right? We're all in this together. The more we can sync up, do it together, the better and more stronger and more empowered we're all going to be. I also have a Patreon, which has a membership community, which I'm having a full moon gathering tomorrow, the Currency Queens. Please feel free to join. You can find me on Patreon /ChaseBetiche. I think that's it. I love you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you soon.